right. So, before we jump into some of this stuff, let me introduce a little bit about, let me tell you everyone who is here. So the first person you saw was Tate Watson. He's out there. He's one of the members of the community team. He was the one that was handing you guys your drink tickets and your stuff. He also very nicely decorated this table of prizes that we're going to give away to all of you. So yeah, you can touch on it. I don't know if you can hear that you're applauding for him, but I'm sure he'll appreciate that. Oh, there he is. Say hi, Tate.
Hi, Tate.
There you go. Next we have Chris. Where's Chris go? Chris back there. Chris Field, he's in the back. He's our lead live producer. He was also helping us out in the front. You can give him a round of applause. We'll do this exciting style for everybody. He was walking around with the mic out in front. He is my boss, our director of live services, Keith Koenig, right there. There you go. You can go on stage. You can go on stage. For those that don't know who I am, my name is Eric Musco. I'm the community manager. You don't have to applaud for that. Don't worry, I'll be talking the whole time. Let's get to the real fun people, the guys that you guys came to see and talk to, the developers. So first, I'll go right to left, from the way you're standing. Our lead designer, Michael Backus. Should I do more exciting? I mean, that's like, was it disappointing? Next, what is your title? What is it? Senior level designer? Lead level designer, Ben Scott. And of course, a familiar face. I'm sure many of you know who he is because it's a beautiful face. Our lead writer, Charles Boyd. I heard Ask Musco, so I'll come over there in a second. So I'm going to go answer a question over there. You guys want to talk a little bit about... Yes.
Is it on?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's not talking. I'll yell loudly. Thank you for being here. This is so awesome. We're so excited.
No comment. There you go. Okay, that was good. There we go. The question was, which trailer are we going to play? So, let me introduce this first. For those of you that didn't see it, this is the trailer that we showcased yesterday during our press conference. We're going to talk a little bit about it, but first I'm going to let you watch it. This is the first reveal trailer of Becoming the Outlander in Knights of the Fallen Empire.
What do you want? I want you to answer for your crimes. I am a veteran of the Great Galactic War. I have carried many titles into combat. Only one matters now. Outlander. Surrender.
The Empire and Republic have all but fallen. You're our last hope.
Do you want to fight? I'm ready. You do not have to stand against me. Instead, I will share all of this with you, if you will only kneel.
After today, do you now all just visualize Darren saying that as it's on the trailer? Because that's what I do. I just can't see Darren without hearing it now. Oh, Darren's coming out after you guys. Darren gets to give away all the stuff. That's what he gets to do. That's right. That's right. So Charles, do you want to talk a little bit about the trailer? Is your mic working?
I don't think so. I don't know. Is it now? Hey, okay.
There it is.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, so that was there was some pretty heavy stuff in that trailer, huh? Some pretty crazy happenings. I think it really captures what we really want to do with Knights of the Fallen Empire. We really want to surprise y'all. We want to give you new, huge moments, huge decisions, really meaningful, emotionally rewarding kinds of decisions that you're going to see the impact throughout your story, both in the chapters that we're releasing in October and in all of the chapters that we're releasing in the future. Stuff that you might do in chapter 1, 2, or 3, and you won't see the result until, chapter 8, 9, or whatever the numbers are after that, maybe. Really see your decisions playing out in the galaxy and in your friends and allies. So I'm just really, really excited to be sharing that with y'all today. That scene alone that you see a little bit of there with Valkorian, getting to watch Darren do that the first time was incredible. It's so cool. Can't wait till y'all see the real thing.
And one of the things too that I was really excited for when everyone would get to see this video finally, because what you may not realize, and you may not realize how cool it is the cinematics that you saw, those were in-game cinematics. That's what the in-game cinematics look like when you're having conversations, when you're going through all of these amazing moments in Fallen Empire. That's what all of Fallen Empire looks like. Our cinematics team has been destroying it. They've been doing such an amazing job. Every time I see cinematics that are coming in Knights of the Fallen Empire, like I'm continually stunned by how amazing they look. I just cannot wait for you guys to see everything that's there. And this was just a small taste of it. And it looks so good now, so good. It's been quite a step up. So, without any further ado, so we have these three fine gentlemen. What we're gonna do is we're gonna open it up right away for a Q&A. So if you have a question, what I'll do you wanna, here, why don't we do this? I'll steal one of their mics, you take mine, and Keith will come down and, you just give him that, yeah. So Keith will come down. If you have a question, just raise your hand, Keith will find you. Let me give you a little preface on the questions. You guys can ask whatever you want. This is obviously the time to ask gameplay-y questions. As a note, if you ask something real heavy spoiler, I'm gonna guess and say we're probably not gonna answer it. You're more than welcome to ask, but it may not get answered. And then keep in mind, because we'll do the Q&A in about 15-20 minutes, then we'll start giving stuff away. If we don't get to your question, don't be disappointed. We'll be here for the next 2.5 hours, plus 4 hours tomorrow where we can answer your questions, all right? So if you have a question, feel free to raise your hand.
So in the blog post on Flashpoints and Operations, you mentioned every Flashpoint there is except for Colliculoid and Directive 7. So can you tell us what happens to those two flashpoints, especially Directive 7? Will it be scaled up, or did you miss it from the list?
I have to go check the exact list. Everyone familiar with the flashpoints and operations? Yeah, a little bit? Good. I'll have to check the exact list. I believe they are on the list. Did you look at the list in the dev blog that we posted online? Yeah,
they were not in that list.
I'll have to talk to George Smith, unless you know. I believe they're on the list, but don't quote me. I think that was supposed to be a generic list of here's kind of what's happening. I don't think we went through every single one. Did you go through every single one?
Yeah. It lists all of them, but those two.
Then yeah, I'm probably putting my foot in my mouth and totally wrong. Those two are probably not on the list. They're meant to be on the list. I will verify and email you directly and tell you what's happening. All right?
What he means is we'll post on the forums and we'll let you guys know the answer.
That is my email. The forums are my email address.
He does that. That's what he says.
Hi. Last year I asked the question if the vision you had for the game came true, and I got the answer by Corey Butler and him that during the development you have different visions of the game, and in those directions the game developed. Can you talk about some visions that didn't make it in the game, or you're still playing around with, but probably will never become true stuff?
So this is interesting. So this is an interesting question. I remember this from last year, and I'm not going to steal your thunder because I'm going to let you guys answer this question. I don't know what you guys have prepared, but it's funny because I actually think that we very distinctly have a vision of Knights of the Fallen Empire, which is the core of what BioWare has always done. It's funny that we've actually kind of re-arrived at that. Where last year it was that as well. I mean, it's always been that, but there was other things that we were also working on in that time. But
yeah, I mean, as any game's developing, especially a game like ours, we had a very long development cycle because it was such a huge game. You know, different ideas changed, stuff, especially early on, changed. I probably shouldn't talk about it, but I'll mention one. You know, there was originally, you know, we had kind of a concept of the galaxy being much more low-tech, being sort of post-apocalyptic in a way, like this war had savaged it so much that a lot of the technology you're used to you wouldn't see. But ultimately, we decided that wasn't feeling like iconic Star Wars. It wasn't, you know, meeting the fantasy that players were really looking for. And so you always you need to be looking into that. You need to always be double-checking your own decisions and making sure you're doing what's right for the project as a whole. So that's kind of one example of ways that some parts of the vision might change. But in terms of being you know, a story-driven, exciting Star Wars adventure that you could share with your friends, I mean, that was always the core vision. And I think that's always what we've been shooting to do. And I think with this stuff especially, that's really where we're going. Do you want to talk some more?
Do you want to add some more?
No, by all means, please.
Yeah, you all have time, right? If you were to ask me that, where we are now is exactly where I felt we should have been from the very beginning. Knights of the Fallen Empire is amazing. I think with Shadow of Revan, we really raised the bar as far as storytelling. The cinematics started to get better. The choices started to feel more. The dialogue and the writing, in my opinion, started to get better. Knights of the Fallen Empire blows it away. Like these trailers don't do justice. Like, we get chills watching the in-game cinematics. Like, the Blur cinematic is amazing. But as far as things that never got into, I'll give you a couple insider things, and then you can all yell at me why it didn't make it into the actual game itself.
I'm not gonna like this, am I?
No, you're going to hate every answer I'm about to say. You're going to hate. Free flight space, getting on your ship and just flying anywhere you wanted to. That was on the list of things to try and do. What else? ADATs and ATS.
Starts already.
Yeah.
Thanks, Michael.
Yeah.
Thanks.
ADATs and ATSTs that you could actually drive was on the list originally a long time ago.
I mean, I think it's worth saying though, some of this stuff may not surprise you. Like I know we say this a lot at events, and I know it's not always easy to believe, but quite literally, I mean, this is the old school wall of crazy that we've talked about.
Yeah,
I mean, if you're like, you know what'd be awesome in this game? AT-ATs. Believe me, we all sat in a meeting room one day and went, you know what'd be awesome? AT-ATs. It just didn't come to fruition.
Yeah, and we, like, even just combat went through huge numbers of iterations. One of the things we thought is lightsaber duels in Star Wars are always very personal, and so making them more personal. How do you do a choreographed fight like Luke versus Vader in Empire Strikes Back? And then we realized some things like we're just limited. In an MMO, when there's 100 people around you, how do you choreograph that fight? It's just not possible. So there are a lot of things that we wanted to do that we couldn't. But I think from a storytelling standpoint, Charles and I agree, like as long as you guys respond positively to it, this is the direction we want to see things go. We want to just tell better and better stories, give you the choices that matter, make you feel like you have companions that you can romance and potentially kill. Who knows what's going to happen? So,
do you guys like the direction we're taking with Knights of the Fallen Empire? Yes. That's what counts. That's what counts. Next question.
You just mentioned choices that matter. I think we all can imagine what that means on a micro level, on a character level, with the character and the companions. But do you guys also have plans to make choices matter on a global scale? That's like checking how players decide and go with a majority, maybe in 8 or 9 chapters?
Like, and I'm making this up, so maybe like if the Republic won 50 of the 60 war zones, the Republic would take a planet or something, or like in the story though, not like the galactic bit. Yeah, something like that. Yeah. I don't know if you want to talk.
Yeah, I can talk. It's not a single player game, so it's really, really challenging. It's one of the things we've struggled with for 7 years now. How do you, if you choose dark side and the other person chooses light side, in a sense you've ruined their experience. So it's hard to do really big global things. We knew as soon as we decided to make it an MMO, we were going to lose some of that. But we're always looking for ways to make it feel like it's actually happening. And I'm not going to give any spoilers away for story, but you're going to start to see that with Knights of the Fallen Empire. As you progress through chapters, there are decisions that you make with companions and through events that have ramifications like far, far down the road. So you'll start to feel that way. It's hard with our technology to actually do like world-changing events. Like the Empire now can just like they've taken over Tatooine completely, or let's build houses everywhere on Hoth. Some of that stuff we just can't do.
Good question. Keith, get us a question.
With the restructuring of the companions, what will that mean in terms of crafting?
I have no comment at this time.
He read the question from a phone, which is a bad sign, and then you giggled before you took the mic, which is another bad sign.
Yeah, you're going to find, if anyone knows me, I kind of give a lot of hints, so I'm going to apologize because I'm not going to confirm nor deny anything. We took a step back and we're looking at companions as a whole, both with Knights of the Fallen Empire as far as how do you guys play the game. We took a step back and said, okay, who's using what companions, how are they using them, what are the strengths, what are the weaknesses, and crafting kind of fell into that as well. So there's definitely some huge improvements coming with crafting. I'm not going to get into it because it's something we're going to announce later on. But yeah, companions play into that obviously because they're part of the crafting system. So you can start to look for some changes.
I think it's probably fair to say too, especially big system-y stuff like crafting and things like that. These are the kind of things that we're definitely be working on blogs and things like that internally, so that because it's a much bigger explanation that's required. So we just want to make sure we give you a big batch of information at one time. So any of the big system-y stuff like that, we'll be working on getting bigger reveals on later on.
Yeah, I had a question regarding the creative process of just a whole new expansion and the fuel that it can be for new operations. How do you guys see that in the future?
So the question was, with the creative direction of the game with no new operations, how do we see that going in the future?
Exactly.
Sorry.
No, go ahead. I was just
have you guys heard anything about operations or flashpoints yet? Yeah? So the big thing with Knights of Fallen Empire is, we're scaling them up all to max level. We wanted basically to have them all be in Group Finder. We want people to experience all of that content for as long as possible. Is Debbie Sue in the room?
Yeah, I'm sure, yeah.
Okay.
That's not a good way to start that either. I didn't get to
now I'm going to change the second half of my answer.
Debbie Sue Wolfkale's our marketing director. You can applaud Debbie Sue. Come on, give me Debbie Sue Wolfkale.
I wasn't going to say anything that I shouldn't say, I promise.
He's not changing his answer.
Yeah. That being said, so that's the big one. That's the big one.
He's trying to get DS in trouble.
Nothing to see here.
As well as flashpoints, there's a number of flashpoints that we felt were very important as far as fiction and story that Charles could probably comment to you guys as you ask questions. But we've turned some of those into solo modes. So there's some flashpoints you're even going to be able to play without a group as well. There are things that we want to do in the future, but the way I've been describing it to everyone is Knights of the Fallen Empire, because we're focused so much on story with this expansion, and we've contributed to content and all those other features so much, we wanted to basically redo the foundation of the game and then build from there. And part of that foundation was making all of the content relevant going on into the future. So I can tell you this part is, our goal is to make all flashpoints, all operations relevant, no matter what the level cap is. So if we add 5 more levels or 100 more levels, you're still going to be adding and adding and adding. So that's one of the big changes that you're going to see for now. There may or may not be stuff coming in the future.
I think a good way we described it in the blog, which is a good way of explaining this, is that by us making these changes, we are paving the way to make adding operations and flashpoints more valuable in the future as well. Easier and more valuable.
Hi, I was just wondering, back to the crafting stuff from Companions, for people who basically are redoing characters on other servers or on their main server, because they want to get the story exactly down to a T, from where they started for their first character, but they say from, okay, I want to start all over again, why not do it the exact same way I want it, knowing what's going to happen. And back to the crafting, of course, like for example, Doc, who has a plus 5 points critical on Biochem. For the people who are basically re-leveling characters, what would you suggest they do when they're leveling, knowing that you guys basically have a non-disclosure answer, what's going to happen?
So do you want a suggestion on which crafting skills to get?
No, but like for us crafters who basically make most of our money, for example, on GTN or just in general players who know from, I'm going to manage this class, I might as well go for those specific crafting skills. And they're restarting all over on their server or they're on their main server. Would you say for them, okay, wait for crafting until the expansion comes out and then see where you get, because you'll have the 5 companions or 6 companions anyway, or 7?
Ooh.
So is your question basically just I want to make sure I'm getting the summary right. If someone is right now trying to min-max their character and their companions specifically for the purposes of crafting, do we have any insider trading information to give you to prepare for Fallen Empire? Is that your question? Is that basically the question? Okay, I wanted to make sure.
Yeah. So I'm not going to... So actually, I will tell you something that isn't a big beat that won't ruin our entire marketing plan. One of the things that you're going to see, we're re-itemizing almost all of crafting. And there's a lot of improvements, because some of you might know that some of biochem versus some other crafting might be better or worse depending on, do you do flashpoints, do you do operations. So you're going to see a great deal of improvements in that. The other thing I'm going to tell you, and this isn't a huge marketing beat, so I won't lose my job. One of the improvements that you're going to see is, as a low-level player, you're going to be able to start crafting from nodes that are much higher level than you, and actually still get materials, as well as if you're higher level, going to nodes that are much lower, get relevant materials for you. So my inside trader knowledge to you is, you're not going to hurt yourself whatever you decide to do. If anything, it's going to be easier for more people to enjoy crafting. All right? So that situation where you find a crafting node and you just don't get anything from it because your skill's not high enough, that situation is going to disappear.
Thank you.
Keith, you have a question? Yeah.
Hello. This is a question quite new. I didn't totally did it last time. Will we ever see the hood toggle or the chat bubbles?
Will we ever see hood toggle or chat bubbles was the question, yeah? Hood toggle or chat bubbles?
I am going to be honest about this question right now. before I came to Germany, sat down with my engineers to talk about chat bubbles. There is, I'm not going to get too technical, but there's scale form and engineering, and there's a performance issue with chat bubbles. And I'm investigating a way to solve that, because I really, really would like to give you guys chat bubbles.
Thank you. I'm gonna do that maneuver that I do. Community manager disclaimer that in no way promises that chat bubbles will ever be implemented into the game.
Yeah.
But we know it's highly requested, and so we're just always driving on trying to find a way to get it in.
Yeah, my promise to you is we're investigating it, and I promise as soon as we know and it's a thing, you guys will hear a big announcement about it.
I would bet that would be the perfect kind of thing we would announce, potentially even at a cantina as part of a question in one of our coy answers, right? Because it's been asked for every cantina since we've been doing them for 3 years. Yeah. I'm saving it for Cantina, yes. I've claimed it. I've staked a claim.
If you make chat bubbles, make them all in all preference.
Oh, we would. Yeah, we would. I like how we had two sides of that. The people who really like chat bubbles, and the people who are like, oh.
Keith, you got another one back there?
As a Sentinel, I'm not feeling very loved in the latest operations. Because, well, we're basically kind of worthless at the moment. Is there going to be any change of that in the future?
You feel worthless because you're taking too much damage? You're not able to do damage? How are you feeling worthless?
There's a lot of AoE damage around the boss, and as melee, I'm kind of stuck there.
Alright, I have an answer to this question. It's come up before. You're not the first person to ask this question. Anyone play Melee? Yeah? Do you all kind of feel screwed? Yeah. Alright, so it was complete. Here's the backstory on it. And it was completely unintentional. It was totally unintentional. There came a time as we were designing bosses, for some reason, again, totally unintentional, bosses started to become far less melee friendly and far more range friendly. And it started to get really disproportionate. So I swear this is actually true. I went to QA and I said, how do we fix this problem? And they said, okay, what's the problem? I described it. And I said, so here's what we're going to do. You're going to get a group of testers for every boss that we test, and you're going to get a full group of all ranged, and you're going to get a full group of all melee. And if those two individual groups can't beat the boss, let us know, and we'll go back to the drawing board and fix it. So my promise to you is we now have a way in place to test those things, so people like the melee classes don't constantly get screwed. And this is kind of like an inside. It's not an Easter egg, but it's a little bit of a I'm sorry. The Psyos world boss, I don't know if you've noticed, is very anti-range friendly and very melee friendly. That's because I felt really bad for all the melee for like the last 2 or 3 operations.
It is also worth noting that as part of Fallen Empire, increased level cap, class changes, and all that stuff. So I'm not saying that that'll necessarily be fixed in that, but that is also a part of Fallen Empire, is that there'll be new stuff and class changes that come along with that too.
So, to give you guys some background, probably most people don't know who I am. Previous things I've done, 2 of the things that I've done specifically to that question are I designed the Raptus fight in Dreadmasters and Corruptor Zero, and the other one. So, from a design standpoint, it is very easy to fall into the trap of punishing melee. It is a discussion we had very often about those fights, and sometimes it just ends up that way. So we apologize. We're not doing it intentionally. Well, sometimes we're doing it intentionally. For the most part, we're trying to make it equal. That it is fair for melee, it is fair for ranged, it is fair for all classes. Through the Maras. Well, I play an agent, so Maras can die. So that, from that context, yes, it is, making a raid boss is not easy, especially one that doesn't punish somebody. So.
I've got one more small question. Since we were able to let companions die in Knights of the Fallen Empire, can we finally kill our ship droid?
I really want to give a joke answer, but I'm not going to. I will instead say that we are not ready to confirm or deny who may or may not be killable or airlockable in this expansion.
Well done. Well done. All right, I'm going to do, just as a note, we're going to do 2 more questions. I see Keith's got down. We'll do 2 more, then we're going to give stuff away, and then we're just going to roam the audience and answer all your questions there, all right? So just as a note.
Hi, as far as we know, both the Empire and the Galactic Republic will be vastly annihilated. What will happen to the fleet, and will there be a new focal point?
Every time you log into Fleet, you'll just end up in space and you'll die.
Ta-da! You got your joke answer.
Give the safe answer, but it's accurate.
The safe but accurate answer.
So there will be.
Actually, you want me to answer?
No, I'll probably just get yelled at. So there will be no significant changes to the fleet in Knights of the Fallen Empire, but that doesn't mean you'll always be in the fleet.
That's a good answer. That's a good answer.
It also doesn't necessarily mean there won't be any changes to anything old.
I'll add just a little bit more detail. There is another location, perhaps two, that is going to have supplemental type activities. So I'm protecting Ben. So
I like this pass the mic system. Yeah. It's like I get a sentence, and you get a sentence at it. We'll do one more question.
Okay, last question. See, right now in the Old Republic, the companions feel like they're just statists. You know, they coming along the way, add some sentence during the fights in some cutscenes, but they have no real impact on the story. And even if you romance someone or not, it doesn't feel like the story is changing around them or with them. Will it have now impact on the story? And like a Mass Effect or Dragon Age Origins.
Play and see.
I take it as a yes.
Did Charles answer the question?
Yeah. Yes, they will have some of the things that you can cause to happen through your companions can be quite severe.
So the team I'm in charge of is actually the team outside of cinematics responsible for building all of the episodes. And I think I'm probably the only one in the room that's actually played through the entire expansion beginning to end. I can tell you there are some moments it's gonna blow your mind. Like, I've been on this game since 2010, and the stuff that the cinematics team and my team have been doing, it's the most compelling work that you will see in SWTOR up until this point. So I can't wait to show it to everybody. It'll be amazing.
All right, and with that, we are going to bring the Q&A to a close again. So what we'll do is we're going to give some stuff away and do some other stuff. But as a reminder, these